We'd been married for almost 40 years, and I knew that when Helen described how she wanted something to be, she would have thought about it deeply, and so there would be little room for alternative options. So when in April 2019 Helen found out she was dying, she was very clear about what she wanted to happen by way of funeral arrangements. There would be a direct cremation, a Quaker funeral or memorial meeting, and then she said, "Scatter my ashes in the rock pools at Maryport." The first two were relatively straightforward. As it happened, we'd already discussed the idea of direct cremation in response to a piece on the Sunday programme. It means that once the body leaves the home or hospice, the family has no involvement until you collect the ashes. As it happened, when the funeral directors came, both of my children and two of Helen's siblings were there, so I suggested that I use the words of commendation and committal from the funeral service before she left. And then we went outside and watched as the hearse drove away and out of sight. Few of us realise that in spite of having been a member of the Society of Friends for well over 25 years, Helen, like the rest of us, had never attended a Quaker memorial meeting. Well, over 250 of us gathered, and whosoever wished to pay tribute had the opportunity to do so, and many did. It was a tremendous testimony to the way her life had impacted on others. In her teaching and support offered to children living with dyslexia, Helen often used mind mapping as a way of helping people to order their thoughts or their arguments. And so rather than writing a synopsis of her life to include in the leaflet, my daughter Naomi created a mind map instead, a beautiful tribute of her own. Which brings me to her final request: scatter my ashes in the rock pools at Maryport, a small town on the West Cumbrian coast where we'd bought a house and planned to retire. Not a place really known for its rock pools. And so on the day after Helen died, I hatched a plan that we would mark what would have been our Ruby wedding anniversary by gathering her immediate family in Maryport. And knowing that we would include our 3-year-old granddaughter, whatever we planned had to be appropriate for her. And so the idea of Grandma Helen's Sandcastle was born. Put simply, it would involve mixing the ashes with sand in a bucket, taking it to the beach at low tide and waiting for the waters of the Solway to claim her. And to be honest, that was about as far as the planning went. And so 22 of us gathered in Maryport on a breezy Sunday afternoon. Some had designed sandcastle flags with images reflecting Helen's life, and we met up on the beach with the special bucket and some spades. What evolved over the next 2.5 hours was a memorable, emotional, and utterly moving occasion as the sandcastle was constructed with the special sandcastle on top. The moat was extended to the sea, and we waited for the tide to do its work.
grave at last, raise the parting glass in sorrow. Give us, come what may, hope to fill our day, dreams to guide our way till tomorrow. And shall we meet again on sunrise morning? And shall our voices blend in one more song? And shall we meet again on sunrise morning? And shall our voices blend in one more song? And shall we meet again on sunrise morning? And shall our voices blend in one more song?
And Evie knew that something important was happening, and she talks about it still. And she was at the heart of it, literally, utterly at home. And eventually, as the waters came in and claimed Helen's ashes, with the most perfect timing, 4 oyster catchers staged a flypast just above the sea. And we were left knowing and feeling our loss really deeply, yet knowing that we had created a memory which will never leave us.
And shall